Hello, Internet, and welcome to SonyCentric, the Outerhaven's official PlayStation podcast. I'm your host, Jason Kwasnicki, and I'm joined today by the lovely Mark Sullivan.
Hi.
Oh, hey, Mark.
Hi.
And we are joined today by our editor-in-chief, Keith the Hacks Mitchell.
What's up, everybody? I know I'm in the middle of playing an Xbox One game, but I'm fully committed to doing this SonyCentric.
You are playing a game during our podcast.
As Kylo Ren would say. Traitor!
Actually, it's kind of funny. I kind of dressed up like Kylo Ren.
What?
The suit, the outfit that I'm wearing.
Oh, in the game.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, I'm just chilling, playing my Xbox One. I'm just wearing some Kylo Ren robes.
Cosplaying as I play the game. Never.
Right. Your wife walks in, you're just playing video games with a giant helmet on.
And you know what? She would look at me and be like, oh, okay. So he reached the next level, huh? And I would look at her like, yep.
Just gonna walk up. I'm just gonna walk by, go read my book. Anyway, folks, Sony-centric, PlayStation. What's going on this week? Well, we got a lot more PS4.5, PS4K news. Eurogamer comes out with an article. Apparently they're confirming it too with their sources, yada yada yada. We talked a lot about that last week, so plugs. If you want to hear our thoughts on that, last week's episode, number 11, we go all into that sort of stuff, and we have some strong opinions on that. But we didn't want to rehash it this week, but there are some other news stories.
One thing I do want to point out about that really quick.
Okay.
Is just that Eurogamer's Digital Foundry articles go more in depth with the possibilities of what this console could be.
I didn't read that. Could you elaborate on that?
It basically, they just said three options as to what it could be, which would be a system with increased processing power, B, a system with 4K resolution supported features, or C, just a slim PS4 model with some performance upgrades. They go a lot more in depth than just that, but those are the general options that they gave. And it's just a little contrasting with what we heard the previous week from Kotaku, solely because that it kind of seemed like it was a meshing of all of those things, as opposed to separate ideas. So, I don't know, going forth, it's just going to be interesting to see how this current rumor, plays out to actually be a reality.
Right, and it seemed more in line with what we were talking about with, it just kind of being a reworked model rather than a full new console.
Yeah.
The only thing that bothers me is the fact they're saying 4K.
Well, it's just I feel like that's just a nickname as of right now. Just like the PlayStation 4.5 is just a nickname that they haven't really. Developers have actually said that that's just what they're calling it, even though but that's not what Sony is calling it.
Yeah, we don't know what the official marketing line is yet.
I mean, we don't even know if it's real.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a little misleading, that's all.
But Digital Foundry's Eurogamer article goes a lot more in depth. If you're interested in that, I would definitely check that out.
Well, you heard it from Mark, guys. Now, moving on to the next topic, mobile gaming. Nintendo's already made some big strides out there, but Sony apparently is gonna try to get into the market too. I kind of just took a cursory look at this article. Mark, you read it a little more in depth. Do you want to kind of go into it a little more?
I mean, it's just that Sony formed a new company called ForwardWorks, and that's going to have a focus on smartphone gaming. And they in a statement, Sony had actually said that they will produce ForwardWorks will produce a full-fledged game, or will produce full-fledged game titles. Presumably making use of PlayStation IP. I feel like they already did this. I guess not to the extent that they want to. Like, I remember there being, around the time the PlayStation All-Stars came out, they had some Uncharted Endless Run... No, a Little Big Planet? They had some sort of Endless Runner game.
Yeah, I think it was a Little Big Planet.
Yeah, and they also had, I want to say they had a Fat Princess. I don't even know. I know they had some mobile games out there, but I guess they want to up their game with this company. Presumably to compete with Nintendo, since they're jumping in on it as well.
And there is the caveat that, according to Sony's statements, right now they're just targeting Japan and Asia.
Yeah, and mobile gaming, frankly, is huge.
Yeah, it's huge
over there. if you're on a train in Japan, you never see someone over there not staring at their phone or a portable gaming device actually even.
Which is really funny because regardless of what's going on the last 15 years in gaming, everybody still thinks that Japan is the mecca of gaming, but the shift over there has been huge. It's no longer consoles or handhelds; it's mobile phones. We've been saying this for years.
Oh, look, I'm Mark. I've been to Japan. I know what they do over there.
I mean, come on. I know. I mean, it's.
I'm just joshing.
I can provide some insight. It's useful.
Wait, you're joshing? I thought you were Jason.
Ooh, funny comeback, Keith.
He's been lying to us all along.
I know, right? Who are you, sir?
Who are you really?
But yes, I mean, it kind of makes sense that all of these companies would kind of jump. I'd be surprised if Microsoft didn't jump in to an extent. Although actually, Microsoft, I take that back actually, because Microsoft doesn't have the kind of market penetration in Asia where any mobile endeavor has to be focused on Asia.
Yeah, I don't see Microsoft anything.
Yeah, so I take that back.
I guess we'll never get that Halo tap shooter that we've always wanted.
Oh my god, that is a terrible idea.
Yo, endless runner in a warthog, man.
I can see everybody's phone being destroyed. Just smashed the hell out of the screen.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel, but I mean, I guess I'm kind of indifferent to it. Hey, good on them if they want to do it, but like, I'm not gonna buy a mobile game.
I mean, I don't know that it'll be a purchasable. It might be free to play with microtransactions, like a lot of mobile game strategies are.
Now, I know this doesn't, follow a close rule for what we're talking about, but I did notice a couple days ago that Tencent is actually doing a mobile game of the original Contra series, which ticked me off because it's like, oh, it's coming to mobile, iOS and Android. It's just the way things are going. Like popular IPs are just hitting to the mobile phone and aren't hitting the console space or even the PC space. It is really sad because it's Contra. Like, oh my god, please give me more Contra. Nope, only on the phone. Sorry. And I'm the kind of gamer. It's like I'm not gonna play a game on a phone. Sorry, I just don't do that.
Right. I guess I feel like, sure, you can see some Contra games on like the PlayStation Network store and whatnot, but I really doubt the sales are there. That in today's market, I feel like those kinds of games definitely sell better. Just the way they work and the way they are, they sell better on that kind of platform, I guess. I don't know. I would have to see.
It doesn't have controls. I mean, it's unless you get a controller, a little thumb control that connects to your screen or docks your phone. And there's some out there to do that. It's just gimmicky. It's just I don't know. I need some kind of actual D-pad or analog stick to play a game, especially something similar to Contra. But
I mean, all of us here, I think we could agree, don't really play mobile games. But
I actually do, but
there's apparently a massive market that does. So, and it's making a shit ton of money.
Well, I play a mobile game, but I don't really play mobile games plural. But I am 100% obsessed with Final Fantasy Record Keeper. But
okay, Mark.
That's irrelevant.
Okay, Mark. Speaking of storied franchises like Final Fantasy, Resident Evil. It's its 20th anniversary this year. 20 years, folks.
Yeah.
And Capcom has been rolling out some stuff. We're going to be getting actually a couple remasters. What is it? Today's the 26th. So 3 days from now, we're going to be getting a remaster of Resident Evil 6. Not the greatest entry in the franchise, I would say.
Definitely.
Definitely not.
But the good news is later in the summer and then in the fall, we'll be getting remasters of 5 and 4, respectively.
Hey, and by the way, how backwards is it that we're getting 6 now and 4 and 5 later?
Well, they're trying to. They're trying to build up the hype.
Yeah, they know which one's gonna sell.
Exactly, and they want people to like buy 6 because it's like, oh, 4 is not out yet, so I might as well buy this to get some flavor. But I know for sure I'm gonna be buying 4 when it comes out.
And I will
For
be
like
doing
it's
the same.
it's remastered for like the 4th time in the
Yeah, I was
past.
gonna say, how many
10
times
years.
did that things get remastered? Like
It's
Well-
been available on like every gen since it's come out.
It went GameCube and then PS2 and then
Wii. It was on the Wii. Dude.
it was on the Wii and then it went to PC and
Yep.
then there's a shitty mobile version that's terrible.
PS3,
PS3 and Xbox 360 and now current
PS4
gen
and Xbox One.
PS4, yeah.
Obviously,
Still a
it first
lot.
came out on the GameCube, and they said they'd cut their head off if it came to PS2. It came to PS2 like less than a year later. But you got to remember that Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, or I think 3 was just called Nemesis. I can't really remember.
Yep.
But it was
I don't think it was even like 3. It was just Resident Evil Nemesis. But
no, it was 3 Nemesis.
was it 3 Nemesis?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Irrelevant detail, but those games were PS1 exclusives, right? They came out on PC a little bit later, but they started on PlayStation.
I think only 3 was exclusive. 2 came to a lot more platforms than I ever actually realized initially.
2 came to a many. 2 came to a lot.
and
I
1
know-
was the same.
And 0 was exclusive for the GameCube. I think that might have been it actually, because I think everything else came to most of the systems.
3
Wait,
came...
what systems did 2 come out on? I mean, I know they came out to PC like shortly after, like a lot of games on PlayStation 1.
One moment. 3 came to, by the way, just real quick, 3 came to PlayStation, Windows, Dreamcast, and the GameCube.
And it came to the Dreamcast because I had that, and I think it also hit the Nintendo 64.
No, 2
Did it?
2 did, though. 2 did come to the
2.
N64.
Yeah, 2 came to 64.
I feel like the basic gist is Resident Evil, I think, has always been mostly associated as a PlayStation franchise, but it
Yeah,
did
I was completely
hit,
off the mark on that. Wow.
It did hit, like, yeah, you wouldn't know unless you went looking for it, but Resident Evil does have a history on multiple systems. It's always been kind of associated with PlayStation.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say at least every entry came out on a PlayStation console at some point.
Mostly that's because I think pretty much all of them initially, up until 4, they all initially released on PlayStation, but they did all go to different systems. Like, yeah, 2 went to PlayStation, and then Windows, N64, Dreamcast, and GameCube as well. And then I think 1's even worse, because there were 3 versions of 1. There was the original, and then there was the director's cut, and then there was the DualShock version.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm splitting the director's cut and DualShock as different things. I'm not
Well,
sure.
actually, no, because the funny thing about that is one of my favorite games in the series, Resident Evil Code Veronica, actually debuted on the Dreamcast first, and then
Okay.
eventually made it over to the PlayStation 2 as Code Veronica X.
Okay.
But I've heard that's the better entry, isn't it?
I mean,
I've
it's on PlayStation, so yeah.
Hey man, I'm not trying to be down on the Dreamcast. That's just what I heard. I haven't actually played that entry.
I love that entry so much. I
Wait,
heart
X,
that
X
entry.
or the original?
The original. I've never played X.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I should, but I haven't.
So, I think we kind of already answered this question for you two guys. Or actually, maybe just Keith. I guess so. We'll start with you, Keith, because you just talked about Code Veronica. But just going over our individual experiences with this franchise, favorite moments, whatnot, how we feel about it going forward. Keith, we'll start with you. Just kind of segueing from what we were just talking about.
Truth be told, my favorite one is always the first one, just because it introduced me to the series. You know, it doesn't stand up to the test of time, the original Resident Evil, but it was my very first survival horror game. In fact, I think it might have been the very first one on a console. Pretty sure it was for the PC as well. But nostalgia out of the way, Code Veronica is up there. I actually really enjoyed Nemesis, but most recently, it's Resident Evil Revelations 2.
Okay, so that's the more adventure game one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't played any of those.
I need to get back to Revelations 2.
Apparently, 1 was good, and I wasn't really sure about 2 because 2 came out. I think 2 came out like on the 3DS, and then they eventually came out for updated one for the PC.
Nah, that was Are you talking about Revelations?
Yeah, Revelations.
Yeah. No, so the first one came out on 3DS, and
Right.
then they made the HD remaster, and then 2 didn't even come out on 3DS.
It didn't. Okay.
Nah, it came to
straight to PC and console.
Yeah, and Vita, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, a
Take
lot of people
that.
were very pissed about that. Mostly because it came to Vita, but it didn't come to 3DS, where the first one initially, launched.
It didn't do very well on the 3DS, to be honest.
Well, yeah, because that's not the audience for it.
I mean, I bought it and I enjoyed it.
I was surprised they made a 2. I was like, huh, a 2. Wow. All right. I thought you guys said it didn't sell very well on the 3DS. Goes to show. Capcom's been lying to us the entire time. We could have had the Darkstalkers.
So Mark, I think I already know the answer to this question, but what is your favorite?
My favorite Resident Evil, again, it's my first, and that was Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 was actually the first M-rated game I ever played.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if it was the first I ever played, but it's the first I played, like, at my own, by myself. It was the first game that I really actually got into that was M-rated. And it was one of the few games I had, and I played the shit out of it. Growing up, I must have beaten it 10 times over.
Yeah, you had to get that submachine gun and the infinite rocket launcher.
Oh, I did. And
the outfits.
The outfits. Playing on the PS2, you had you got the Mafia outfit and the suit of armor for Ashley. I never did wind up getting the I didn't ever actually beat Professional until I got the PS3 HD version. So I was able to get the do you remember the laser gun that would just eradicate all the
Yes.
I finally got that when I beat it on Professional on the PS3 version. I never did that when I was younger. I tried, but I couldn't get through Professional because I was young and foolish.
There was something particularly satisfying about getting that infinite rocket launcher, and then, there were some fantastic set-piece fights in that game, like the, I don't remember what they were called, the servants of that prince, was it Salazar the prince?
Salazar.
Those two servant things that he has?
Yeah.
So there was a part where you're going through, a tunnel, and one of them is, chasing you.
I think his name is Vertigo.
Yeah, and the thing is, near invincible. The only way to kill him is to, freeze him with the barrels or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you go through that fight with the infinite rocket launcher, or even just a regular rocket launcher, you could just take him out in one hit.
Oh.
And you don't even have to do all that.
Even better, the final boss.
Oh, yeah.
Can be basically instantly beaten.
Assuming you have this stuff, yeah.
Yeah, assuming you have that rocket launcher, but it's a non-issue.
But it's so funny because when you do those fights the first time, there's so much tension there. They were so well designed.
Yep.
And of course, who could forget Luis?
Luis.
Fucking Resident Evil 4's version of Tony Montana. Hey Leon, I got it.
Great.
I love that scene when he dies. I got it, Luis, and he has a giant tentacle coming out of his chest.
Yeah, that was by far one of my favorite games of all time.
No, I agree there, and
I do want to give a shout out. I do want to give a shout out to 5 because 5 wasn't a great. It wasn't really a great survival horror game, but it was a hell of a co-op game. I played through 5, and I bring up 5 because I have a lot of fond memories of that, because I played through 5 with one of my best friends, and we actually platinumed the game together. And we still, from time to time, just load it up and, just play through some levels.
Mercenaries? You guys play Mercenaries?
I'm not really fond of Mercenaries. We have done raid mode in Revelations 2. In fact, I've only gotten through Chapter 1 of Revelations 2, but I played easily 20 hours of that game just from doing raid mode.
Yeah,
raid mode with her.
raid mode is actually something I really enjoy. Kind of pissed me off how they handle it on the PC side. That's why I'm kind of interested in their upcoming FPS game.
What is that one called?
You know, I forgot. I keep saying Raccoon City, but that was the original one.
That was a Wii one, right?
No, I think it hit. Was it hit PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3?
Yeah, no, that was Operation Raccoon City?
Yeah.
Oh,
that was only was only for PS3 and Xbox 360 and PC.
There's definitely
probably.
like a shooter, like a rail shooter one with the Wii.
I know what you're talking about.
Was that Survivor?
And those came over to the PS3 as well, but I forget what they're called.
It wasn't Survivor. I can't remember what it was. Umbrella Corps is the one I'm talking about.
I was just trying to find it. I couldn't remember because I couldn't remember either.
That actually may be at max. So if we can get some hands on with that.
Yeah, no, but a very varied series, and I agree with you, Mark. 5 gets a bad rap because one of the reasons 4 is so good is because it found that perfect balance between an action game and the survival horror.
Yeah,
but of course 5 kind of like just pumped it all the way over to action game. It's not really a survival horror game at all. There's not the same kind of tension there was in 4. When you got your back to a wall inside a cabin and people are breaking in windows and such.
How about just the way 4 opens, like with the chainsaw guy?
Yeah.
You don't have that kind of intensity in 5, which is disappointing. But as a co-op game, it was hella fun.
It was hysterical. Do you guys remember the what? 5?
Yeah.
Do you remember the controversy at the time about killing, like, because you were in Africa, killing like black people? So they made like all the people there like Asian and like white.
Yeah.
What the hell? That's better?
Exactly. No, it was hysterical.
I mean, it's by their logic, it's a Japanese developed game. Like, it's got to be okay.
Can't get away from real world politics and racial tension. You just can't get away from it.
So, like, going forward, obviously, they've been putting out a lot of stuff now for the 20th anniversary. Like we just said, they're doing these 3 remasters. They announced that first-person shooter that Keith was talking about. Is Revelations, is that stuff still going with the episodes?
No,
is that done?
That's been done since last year.
Okay. I have no idea. I haven't been following it.
I don't know if they're going to make another one.
I doubt it.
I kind of doubt it as well. But
they wrapped up the story, I think.
So, well, do you guys think that they're going to announce 7 this year?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I want is I would much prefer them to just reboot the franchise.
No, don't know.
Yeah, because after the disappointment of 6, I would just much prefer it if they just started from scratch. If they maybe take some ideas from how they modernize the game and reboot it as a true survival horror game, then I would just kind of prefer that. It's gone so off the rails genre-wise and even story-wise, really, that I just think starting from scratch, completely wiping the board, might not be the worst idea.
I can see that.
I kind of doubt they will.
Keeping characters.
Oh yeah, like absolutely. Like I'm saying, like completely, like reboot it, but you can keep Chris and you can keep Jill
and Leon.
And Leon they could even mix and match however they want to.
Do we really need to keep Leon?
Hell yeah, dude.
Yo, what's wrong with Leon?
He has the best entry in the series.
Can't we just, if we're gonna reboot it, we should just get new characters.
Except for Leon, keep Leon.
Leon. What is the name of the president's daughter?
Ashley Graham.
See, that was so like the Resident Evil series, obviously, especially at this point, is known for like how out of whack it is. Like it's a crazy sci-fi action movie mixed in with this like tense survival horror, and like it completely went into left field in 5 and 6, but like 4, it was like just right how wacky it was.
Yeah,
like the fact that you're rescuing the president's daughter in the middle of this like zombie sci-fi Frankensteinian type thing, and in the game, what was his name? Was it Wesker? Not Wesker. Wesker's the umbrella guy. Who's the guy you have the knife fight with?
Oh, Krauser.
Krauser, that's it, yeah. Like, Krauser, that completely comes out of left field if you don't know anything about the series.
Hey, how many times during that cutscene with all the QTEs, how many times did you fail on that?
Yo, I didn't fail. I'm too good for that.
I failed so many times on that.
But
that was so... I struggled so much on that.
The series can be wacky, but like it has to keep it down a little bit, just to that level, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like with 6, not even that campiness, that wackiness. It on a gameplay perspective, like 6 was, we're gonna have 4 different campaigns, and they're all gonna have different tones, and they're all gonna have different like elements to even just what genre they are. And I don't want that. I want Resident Evil to be survival horror again. Yeah. And I don't know that they can double back on that. Like even Revelations 2, it's taking so much influence from what 6 was, from a gameplay perspective, and I just kind of want them to double back and say, well, we stop being about horror, we should go back to that.
Yeah, I totally agree on that.
I think it's just really hard. I mean, have you think of any game that really does survival horror really good anymore? I mean, the 2 games that did it really good in the gaming industry, or I'll just say game industry, was Resident Evil and Dead Space, and their final games were terrible.
I think you're forgetting.
I mean, it depends. It depends. Yeah, Alien Isolation, dude, pure survival horror.
Well, I was referring to what Silent Hill was going to become.
I was never a fan of Silent Hill.
I mean, that's fine, but what Kojima was going to do with that franchise was going to be be nuts.
That's also like, you guys are talking like pure survival horror.
Yeah, and
though.
this is a different type.
Yeah, Resident Evil has, even the originals had a bit more action.
Yeah, well, I think all the ones that we're talking about had a lot of action in there as well, with the exception of Alien Isolation.
Yeah,
that was all stealth. At the end of the game, we got that flamethrower.
Yeah, that's why I say it's like, that was pure survival horror, but it was also fantastic. It's probably the best survival horror game ever, period.
But like in an age where a lot of developers are doubling back on older ideas, you know, people are making Kickstarters for platformers and old school RPGs. I mean, look at what Square's doing. I Am Setsuna. It's entirely based around old school RPGs, particularly Chrono Trigger's battle system. Like, why? I would love for developers to look back, especially Capcom, to look back at what Resident Evil was and maybe think, well, and I doubt Capcom's going to do this. We know what their development strategy is going forward. It's primarily on remasters.
Is that how you pronounce that game for this Square? The reason I'm asking, because it's spelled the same way as a popular Gundam pilot, Setsuna. Oh, and that's how I envision it, because it's spelled the same way. It's just a funny inside joke.
I mean, it's Setsuna in Japanese.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. We're Westerners. We can pronounce it however we want. We'll get away with it because we're Westerners.
So just real quick before we wrap it up, actually this question just kind of came to me. So, you know, the original guy behind Resident Evil, he went off and he did Evil Within.
Love it.
That terrible.
What?
Terrible.
Resident Evil 4 ripoff.
I love that game.
I mean, I will admit, I haven't beat it.
It can't be a ripoff. He made the game. He made the genre. It can't be a ripoff. He made it.
So all right. So hold on. I'm gonna intervene here as the host. So me personally, I played a bunch of it, but I never beat it, and I still have it. I don't have any of the DLCs or anything. I can understand where Mark is coming from, that it rips a lot off, and I can also see where it adds a bunch, and it also goes much deeper in terms of psychological terror and like really utilizing those Japanese horror designs that you don't really see so much in Resident Evil anymore. So I'm just going to give each of you a couple of minutes, like a minute or two, to just kind of give your summarization of how you feel about that game. So let's start with you, Keith.
Well, I was a big fan of the original Resident Evil. I was playing after 4. That game, and I even reviewed it, and it did remind me a lot of Resident Evil 4, but it had a lot of different cues from a lot of different games. It was more like a love a tribute to Resident Evil 4. And it was the first time the creator of that series actually came back. Because after 4, he just stopped making survival horror games. I don't know what the heck he was doing, but he completely just stopped. Now, the game didn't get a good reception due to all the technical issues the game had, but the people that did review it said it was a solid game. And I agree, it was a solid game. Easily one of my favorite games in quite some time. I beat it twice. I played all the DLC. All the DLC was solid except for the first one of I want to say her name was Jill. Her first DLC was terrible. Terrible. But everything else was fantastic. So I really enjoyed it. It had the right to survival horror elements that I was missing. Especially since, Resident Evil is not something I really play anymore, and my other favorite survival horror series is dead. Literally dead.
And you can check out that article plug.
Is that the Dead Space?
Yeah, the Dead Space is dead in the water, whatever.
Yeah,
article.
pretty much.
Thanks, EA.
So, Mark, your thoughts?
All right, I do admit I need to give The Evil Within a bigger shot than I actually gave it. So I have it, I own it, and I've been meaning to actually, sit down and focus on it. I played it one time for half an hour, and I really wanted to like it, but I felt the stealth was kind of just it was like a good idea, but it was horribly executed. I felt the camera was too close to Sebastian's ass, and I couldn't see anything going on in front of me.
The females love that, so they can see guys' asses now.
I could not take that. That was just I couldn't see anything, and it just bothered the shit out of me. I thought that there were the early on. In the part that I was only on chapter 2, when I played, and I saw that one of the mechanics is to light corpses on fire with matches.
Yeah.
And I realized that, and I looked down, and I was outside in a village really early on, and around me there was a campfire, and I couldn't utilize that. And I said, well, why not? That seems
I remember
so ridiculous. I have to waste a match when there's a campfire burning right there. That just
hey
me
man,
the wrong way.
it's not something I'm going to say that's dumb in the game, because there are tons of games that do a lot of dumb stuff.
And you're right, you're not wrong.
Like one of my favorite examples is 2 of them actually. In World of Warcraft, one of the guys is complaining, man, I haven't seen my wife and kids in months, and I'm like, there's a portal right next to you. Why don't you go through it? And then there's a scene in the very first Dark Souls 2 where the guy's complaining, the tools are locked inside of this hut. I can't get in. Go find me a key. And I'm like, there's a window right there. Go through the window. It's just stupid design elements that they just don't think about. Things that are like practical.
It kind of reminds me, recently I saw a clip of someone playing The Division. He's trying to get into a car door, and it won't open, but all 3 other doors are open. But it's just like it's just a beat up car, and he's trying to get into the one door. I don't know. I understand a lot of games do stupid stuff like that, but in the
that
half
seems like
hour
a pretty
I spent with the
big
game,
design element.
Yeah, and that is a big design element, and I don't understand why. Maybe enhance that a little bit. I kind of get why they didn't do that, or why they wouldn't have done that, but with my already having a bad experience with what was going on in the game, it just rubbed me the wrong way. And I do admit, I need to give it another shot, because I was excited when I heard about that game. I was excited leading up to it. So I do need to give it more time.
I do agree that the match burning mechanic, I didn't really enjoy that all that much. It actually kind of got annoying. But, there was a lot I appreciated about the game. I did kind of get a little irked that in the beginning it felt very much just like a rehash of Resident Evil 4. Especially because you start in that village area. And, that first chainsaw guy you see, you instantly think, oh, this is the beginning of Resident Evil 4.
Oh, there's even a chainsaw guy at the beginning?
Yeah, the barn.
Yeah.
Right after that fire pit area you're talking about.
Pardon my ignorance, but oh my goodness.
It's literally like rip shit. But I know, just for people who are probably shouting out there, like, oh, you haven't played the entire game. I realize that, and I played through areas a little up ahead that get a little different. And there's definitely a different aesthetic that I really like. I like how you're kind of going through different parts of the psych, and it wasn't time travel. It was weird. It was kind of like interdimensional. I don't really know how it plays out because I didn't beat it. But I liked how like the checkpoint system.
It was all psychological.
Yeah,
that's all it was.
I liked how the checkpoint system was like going into that hotel inside his mind, and you have that piano piece playing in the background while you like getting that
receptionist.
Yeah, like that was so cool. Like there were so many cool elements like that. And I feel like that's the kind of stuff we need to see more. It was the kind of thing that PT really showed potential with, you know. But alas, I guess I kind of actually feel like popping that in and playing it now, so I might just do that tonight.
The world's never gonna let PT go, even though
dude, I'm never gonna let PT go. Oh my god.
Oh, I actually wasn't talking about PT. I was talking about
no,
the
I
people
know.
within.
But...
I wish I had PT. I never downloaded it. I should.
You know, I had downloaded it at the very end, and then it was like, oh, Konami's gonna take it off the market, so you can't play it. I was like, wait, what? And then I went to go download. It's like, oh, it's already gone. I was like, well, that kind of sucks, Konami.
It's still on my hard drive, and it will never leave.
Dude, that's gonna be worth something someday. That's like the ETs in the hole, in the desert.
They're not in the hole anymore. They took them out though. Remember?
Well, the ones that were,
that's right. I forgot.
The ones that were in there.
The ones that were in there though are worth a lot of money, aren't they? They're like collector's items.
I think so.
Yeah, they were selling on eBay. I don't get that, but okay.
Yeah, it's history, man.
It's gaming history.
It's history that I played when I was a kid, and I was like, oh, this game is so bad. Why?
And then, boom, everything blew up, literally. Well, folks, that's our show. I think we can all agree, despite our slightly varying opinions on certain games, that we want survival horror to come back in a big way. Because it has played a pretty integral part of our gaming histories, you know? Resident Evil was kind of there as gaming really took off in the 90s. And it's only proper that it comes back in a big way. Hopefully Capcom will see that and give it its fair due. I think we can all agree on that.
I wanted to say real quick before we leave, forgot to bring up during the show, there is a upcoming project. It was Kickstarted. It is a survival horror game in the vein of Resident Evil and what was it, Dead Space. I believe it's called Syndrome.
I don't trust Kickstarters anymore.
It's actually looking really good.
I mean, the game probably looks awesome, but it's like it's so rare that Kickstarters like, not that they don't deliver on promises all the time. It's so rare that they actually like end up coming to fruition. You know?
Yeah. It's kind of ticking me off.
Especially lately, there's been a bunch of games that have had to bail.
The only reason why I'm looking forward to it is because the PR company that I work with that helps us, procure copies of games actually has it on their virtual pull list. So I will be looking towards that when it eventually does come out.
Interessante. Well, folks, this has been SonyCentric, the Outerhaven's official PlayStation podcast. If you like this video, please like it on the YouTube page. Go to the Outerhaven net at youtube.com. to subscribe for more content. And please check out our written content over at www.theouterhaven.net. This has been Jason Kwasnicki, your host, your guide to the PlayStation world that doesn't know shit about the fact that Resident Evil wasn't PlayStation exclusive. We were joined today by Mark Sullivan and Keith Mitchell.
We're only human. Remember that. Everybody makes mistakes.
Mark's not going to say goodbye.
Oh, goodbye.
Peace.
Come on, Mark.
What? I said
Peace out, Internet.